That's a start. Yeah.
All right, folks, it is 7 o'clock. I will go ahead and call our meeting to. We can start with a moment of silence, please. And if we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just as a reminder, if you happen to have a cell phone with you, please make sure that it's off or on silent. City Clerk Mabel, will take roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Williams, Reed, present. Jackson,
Here.
Waller, Davis,
Here.
French,
Here.
and Mayor Snyder.
Here. We will stop. I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will start this evening with a presentation from the Calhoun County Transit Authority. I'll turn the floor over to Councilwoman Davis.
Thank you. I would like to introduce our TAC Advisory Board, Ride Calhoun, which is a new initiative in Calhoun County. We've spoken of it a couple of times briefly, but we have members of the TAC board to come tonight to share with us some of the details of what the proposal is going to be and what services are going to be offered in Calhoun County. So we have, we're going to start with Mr. Eric Stewart, and we have a PowerPoint that all of you have hard copy, as well as it's going to be overhead. PowerPoint.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to say thank you for having us as a part of your council agenda. And my name is Eric Stewart. I'm an entrepreneur from Battle Creek and was appointed not as board chair. Right. I'm the only non-municipal person or educational person I come from business and I think they snowed me into the board chairmanship. But what's been good is, I've been in philanthropy in this county, since I was a child. So this county is kind of ingrained in my heart and things of that nature. I take it personal in terms of how social justice permeates throughout our entire region. Full disclosure, I'm also the board chair for BCU. So working closely with economic development, things of that nature, making sure that all businesses and people are participating equally, as equal can be. So that brings us to transportation. For whatever reason, I've been called to chair this piece, and we have a great team around us. And I appreciate your all's participation in the Transportation Authority vote and things of that nature. That doesn't mean that the folks that didn't vote positively in this instance, we're leaving out of the mobility model. We want to make sure that every citizen or every human being that needs to get from point A to point B can. And that is as simple as it is, and that's a great starting point for who we are as the TAC board. So let's just keep that in mind. This isn't about bus routes and things of that nature. This is about moving human beings from A to B for an improvement of their livelihood, taking their children to school, getting to church in another community, getting to work in another community, and having something nice to do that is not right around where you live. We should all be able to do that. If you drove your car here, I consider that a privilege. And we don't often think about those folks that have that barrier of transportation. But we do have a strategy to solve that. This is this first launching point. So I'm excited that although we are the Transportation Authority of Calhoun County, we are now known as Ride Calhoun. That's going to be the moniker for the entire county going forward. And our mission is improving lives in Calhoun County, one ride at a time, with equal access to transportation for all. It is very much simple, and that's the culture of everything we want to be going forward.
And secondly, I've had the opportunity to work with outstanding members of Calhoun County, including Mr. Stewart, of course, as well as our vice chair is Tom Turkowitz. Linda Morrison is here, who is the board treasurer. Amy Evans is here, isn't here, but she's from Springfield. And Janesha Morris, Battle Creek resident, is also on the commission, we call it City Council and City Commission, as well as Dr. Paul Lawson, Calhoun County, and the president of Kellogg Community College. So we put our heads together and come up with strategies or come up with a plan of action to improve transportation. And so just you need people to work with, dedicated, and hopefully the end result will be very positive.
And I think what's important is we have to Councilperson Davis's point, the folks that exist come from a variety of disciplines, and that's very much important. But what's equally important is we have a great strategy for equality across the board. Just because Battle Creek represents 80% of a population right now, this is not a Battle Creek thing. It's not an Albion thing. It's not a Springfield thing. And this is an entire county piece. So hopefully that permeates through, and that's our starting point and what have you. Many people think, because all the buses reside in Battle Creek, we're gonna have a deficit. That's a starting point right now. We're in a deficit now, and we'll be able to go through that. How do we get here? It's important for me to give you context in terms of what we had to deal with starting a strategy. You have to realize our current condition, we had two types of conditions: a publicly funded transportation model with providers such as what you're used to seeing, Battle Creek City Transit, BC Go, Marshall Valley Ride, which would come into Albion on an intermittent basis, the Albion Marshall Connector, and then some other agencies as well. Then there are privately funded models. There's a lot of folks out there giving rides for money and things of that nature, Battle Buddy, area-wide transportation, Kingdom Builders Transportation has a little model. But what we want to do is all of these things have value if they're operating together and efficiently, and we'll cover that. Our public providers in Calhoun County, You've seen some of these, they're really focused on seniors, disabled, residents of a program, or participants of the program. And those are often funded through local sources like senior millage, local grants, sometimes philanthropy and things of that nature, because they charge little to no fares or are restricted to donations or fares. We're not interested in absorbing those, okay? There's a fear out there right now that that model will go away. I believe that there are efficiencies in the entire system for those systems to operate as well, us to use technology, and those services still exist, similar, but they're participating and we're getting more volume out of that, and some efficiencies and budgets are gonna be a consideration going forward. We'll show you how. Remember, there was a transit study. I'm not gonna get into extreme detail about this. The transit study was a starting point for us. And basically it told us, you know, we had a countywide problem just for residents seeking opportunities through education and other things that I've already mentioned. But that wasn't part of the strategy that we ended up with. We took into account many of the opinions and things of that nature of the study, as well as some of the millage rate. That was based on everyone participating. Well, we know that that's not our reality now. So what we're coming to you today is with a starting model of, this is who we have, this is what it's gonna cost, and this is where we think we wanna get. Basically the findings, the highlighted words here that we found from the study were, we have a lot of vulnerable populations. We have folks with disabilities that don't have regular access to public transportation. Transit-oriented populations were based in Albion, Marshall, Springfield, and Battle Creek. And then, you know, the TAC will provide operational efficiencies, collaborations, and a sustainable model going forward that isn't convoluted with other city business and things of that nature. It gives you an opportunity for some real business dynamics and efficiencies. But the real challenge out there is more than 20,000 estimated unmet trips per year were the reality. What other instance would you have 20,000 people in need and it not be a crisis? That's the starting point. That was a heavy lift for me. Let's keep in mind, I got a car to get here. I don't have to worry about having to get from Battle Creek to here on public transportation. And then I go to get public transportation and we can't meet the need. We have a capacity issue right now. Having said that, we did start to try and attack that, and we brought the BC Go model in, thinking that, you know, let's see how this works. It's not a reality of just bringing Uber or Lyft or what have you in. BC Go did very well, but the problem is we can only service less than 25% of the rides that were requested. It's inefficient. It becomes almost overwhelming, and we have systems, but not enough vehicles, not enough drivers. Those challenges existed, and then you have demand exceeding capacity, and you have another issue. So what's the future of transportation in Calhoun County? Again, we started with the mission. Remember, improving lives, equal access for all with transportation, and dealing with one ride at a time. We deal with one ride at a time. We can put the right inventory in the right places, building efficiency and creating an equality across each community. Now, it's not lost on me. Each community has its own identity. The same things that work in Battle Creek don't work in Springfield, and Springfield is within the confines of Battle Creek. Same things that work in Marshall aren't going to work in that. We all have different needs, but if we build efficiencies through time and things of that nature and improve the quality of ride, we can build an equality across the board, and I'm excited about that. Vivian, you want to take us through the services?
This chart really got my attention because we are Albion. You can see the city of Albion, and the city of Albion in the eastern part of the county a lot of times overlooked. But with this initiative, we are not going to be overlooked, and there's going to be collaboration between all of the entities involved, and Albion is included. So
one of the key stories that I heard is there was a resident in Albion that needed to use dial ride to get to work. And because of the way the current system exists, they have to catch the dial ride to work at Arby's in Marshall and couldn't get any other transportation. You shouldn't have to do that. In Battle Creek, it shouldn't take you 6.5 hours to get grocery shopping if you have to catch the bus. That's a reality. If you have to go grocery shopping now, you shouldn't have to wait for the luck of the draw for something to become available. Or the reality is, if you want a BC Go, based on that data, you'd almost have to book it 3 weeks out. It's not equitable. We want to change that, and we think we have a strategy to do so. So, having said that, part of our Ride Calhoun mission is to have 3 types of service units. The first one is what you would consider a fixed route service unit, or the MAX. That would be your big buses. We're not talking about running big buses all over the county or what have you. That's inefficient. 5 people on a bus, on a 30-person bus, that doesn't make any sense. So you have to be agile, you have to be quality oriented, and you definitely have to be on time and making sure that the best use of your time per the route that you're taking is there. Hence, our Ride Calhoun Move product is the paratransit, or kind of the shorter vehicles, if you will, that may be vans or what you would see kind of on TV, where you might have 15 people in a very comfortable van or what have you. And then there's an on-demand flex. That would be more of your BC Go model, rebranded and what have you, that could hit those pockets and what have you of need. Now, with our new budget plan and what have you, we would have increased inventory. With an increased inventory comes the needs for more drivers. If you want to get more drivers, you got to have a great place to work. And right now, with the current budget situation and things of that nature, and how we're so spread out, it's a stressful place to be behind the wheel. And one thing that the authority wants to do is create an environment where folks want to be behind the wheel. They're getting equitable pay behind the wheel. And then they can provide an equitable and nice experience for those passengers that are in the vehicle. So now the value of the ride goes up, the experience of the ride goes up, and the efficiency and the time it takes to provide a ride is improved. So other things that are worth noting, one thing we found out in our investigation that was real interesting to me, it's kind of a trickle down effect to mobility. I was shocked to find that out as a business person, and I had to really ask the director, where'd you get this? So we have some sites where you can go and verify this, but home values can increase 4 to 24% when you have a robust mobility system. And also, for every dollar spent in transit, there's a $5 value in return to the community. Of course, that's across the nation and what have you, but there is a positive effect when you have participation within a robust system. Look, when I'm looking at what economic development is happening across the region, in our county, I get kind of scared. People talk about the Ford project and what have you. I'm more focused on Ford needs tier 2, tier 1, and tier 3 suppliers. How are folks going to get to work at those places? I am held bent on you should be able to live in Albion and work in Fort Augusta, and vice versa. We shouldn't have these barriers and what have you. If you want to see your tax base grow, and we want more robust things that need to happen in this community for more businesses to thrive, like a Ford, like the other places that are coming, like the development that's happening out at the airport in Battle Creek, you need to be able to move people around and have that type of density, if you will, within all of our communities, not just 1 or 2. Transit has an effect on education. I'm not going to get too much into this, but we got to get our students from A to B. There's rich experiences across this county that our students are limited to. You have folks that go to school here or in Marshall or in Battle Creek or in Springfield that can learn from visiting a campus like you have here in Albion. If they're restricted to they can't get here, they can't have the experience. How is that going to help us grow? I hear too many kids, including some of my own, there's nothing to do with Battle Creek. I got to get out of here. Well, maybe if we provided those rich experiences and they experienced everything across the county and transportation is part of that, they would have a different attitude. That's just a part of that. If we were a parent, there's another part too. So having gainful employment in conjunction with education is important, and those things will rise to the top as we have a robust system. How we move, These are the key things that our branded items that I talked about all have. Equitable access to opportunities throughout the county. We talked about that a little bit. Quality oriented. It's something that you're not used to hearing on a bus ride. That has to be a quality experience for both the driver and the passenger wherever they go. I want them leaving there happy. If I have somebody behind the wheel that's like, you know, I don't really want to be here, how's that experience going to be for the driver? I mean, for the passenger, right? So we want to create the system that it's quality all the way around in that service. Technology enabled, there's some really slick stuff that the director and the system has on tap that's going to make one unified system, including those privately funded folks. We can suck them in and have standards to their rides and improve their quality of rides. That technology is going to have us all working together. For instance, at the Cool Center in Battle Creek, on any given day, you can go and they're doing pickups. You have 4 service providers lined up back to back to back, and each one of those people are picking up 3 people. Or 1 person. That makes no sense, and they can all fit on one bus. Those other vans or whatever can be somewhere else, picking up another density of people. It's totally inefficient, it's not cost effective, and everybody has their own little silo to work in. If we contribute to that silo and everybody got their revenue generation, we should be happy, but we've improved efficiency across the model, and that improves costs.
Yeah, and just quickly, the next slide is basically now and the future. And as you know, in Albion, we really don't have anything other than the Marshall connector, and they have limited hours. BC Gold, not reliable, really can't get it. So we really don't have anything that's dependable and reliable compared to in the future. Hopefully, we will have on demand and subcontract people in this area to provide the services as well.
You
So
know,
it's night and day.
Vivian hasn't invited me to the festival before, so I'm keeping waiting for that to happen. But, you know, I appreciate, as a person, I appreciate that. Vivian, I got a ride, thank you. No, you know, Albion has been a unique community for me, and I've tried to serve here as much as I can. I'm kind of a legacy kid with my parents, but one thing I've learned by serving on the board at Star Commonwealth is this is a rich community just in terms of how the structure happens here and the matriarchal nature of how you operate is amazing. It's, you know, if I know Mr. Barnum, Ms. Hazel, and a couple other folks, you can get a whole lot of stuff done. It's a shame that the moniker in Albion has been almost, we're over here on this side of the county and sometimes we feel forgotten. That's not lost on me. That was a starting point. And then Ms. Davis reminds me of that quite often. It is egregious to me that up to this point, we're trying as hard as we can in Battle Creek that you had that type of limited or no service. What we want to do is bring those folks into having an affordable, fair, equitable service that gets you from A to B, and everyone should be able to participate. That's what's figured about here. So before, all you had was a Marshall connector with limited hours, BC Go, which I already told you wasn't reliable, and we're gonna move to severe on-demand service with that mobile app and dedicate part of that technology to servicing this part of the community, just like we would in Springfield and other areas. It's gotta be across the board, and you gotta put the human being first. So service zones to Albion, which you don't have today, you kind of had something coming this way, and if it came this way and you got lucky, you were okay. But moving forward, as we, like I said, have more inventory, have more technology, have more input, and have more drivers, that's gonna be an expanded reality, and it's only gonna be continuous improvement. This models, and you can look at this later, the improvements that we've analyzed, what's happening now compared to what will happen in the future, and there's a budget impact associated with that. So that's what I'll ask the treasurer to come up and maybe talk about this next slide so we can understand the budget reality that we're dealing with and how we solve that. Oh, before we get to the meeting, okay. You know, what makes this different? why can't transportation just be stuck in the city and whatever? Kind of alluded to this earlier, you know, the city business. It gets caught up in different budget constraints, and things of that nature. Sometimes in Battle Creek, and we're doing the best we can, that budget might be the first one to get cut. You got some buses, just change your hours. It's also egregious that, and I learned this when I was in Marshall, that the plant, the system in Marshall runs till 3:30 in the afternoon. What if I get a job at 4 and my shift runs till 5? I'm gonna get home. It could be a thing, right? I got this nice high paying job. And I can get there, but I can't get home. That's what happens when you have budget constraints within the system. And the authority can help solve those things, and we can be as efficient as possible and look for other ways, like corporate participation, philanthropic participation, federal participation, and things of that nature, and be more aggressive to lower that millage piece and make it equitable across the board for everybody, and make sure that things like that don't exist. I thought that was ridiculous. You mean, yeah, I got a job at 4. Oh, I can't get home. It doesn't make any sense. So, efficiency, improve rider experience. I talked about driver experience, but the whole opportunity for advanced systems with a focus on community-wide, and my business sense tells me I need to always be thinking continuous improvement. So that's where we're gonna get with that.
All right, as Eric said, thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak with you. I'm Linda Morrison, I'm the treasurer for the TAC. I'm recently retired, worked as the finance director for the city of Battle Creek for a long time. Very familiar with the transit, kind of the revenues that come in, the expenditures that go out, and the capital assets and so forth. So we worked hard to come up with these financial statements that, as you can see, go out 5 years, the final year on the far right being 2028. And based on what we see as the service hours that are gonna be provided in the area that's gonna be served, about $12 million in operating expenses, and that's for the 5 communities. The fare revenues are, and on the revenue side, the fare revenues are a really small part of the revenues of this organization. We're leveraging a lot of federal and state money by doing this and having the population served. So there's a lot of federal and state revenues here, as well as a lot of opportunities for other federal and state grants. So, but between those two, between those revenues and expenses, it comes down to about a $5 million, a little more than a $5 million gap that has to be funded through property taxes in all the participating communities. Based on the taxable values as we know them right now, and we know there's a lot of changes happening in the county that can make this better. The millage request that will go on the November ballot is for 2.66 mils. That is a top. We're hoping it doesn't need to be that high because of some of the things that Eric talked about, philanthropic kind of partners, corporate kind of partners, participation by those places that are not currently participating, as well as federal and state grants, additional federal and state grants. So I'm gonna turn it back over to Eric.
So I think what was important about that piece is this is a not to exceed amount. So that's what we're talking about. And this revenue side of this is only the start. Keep in mind, the service area doesn't include, if you look at Battle Creek, it doesn't include Harper Village, where Myers, Menards, all that stuff is, Walmart, things of that nature. Those folks need transportation to get to that area, right? And I'm not talking about one stop. Each one of those businesses wants folks to stop in front of their door if possible. I want you to participate. There's a cost associated with that. Let's negotiate what that means. That's gonna lower that amount, okay? Fire keepers is not in the jurisdiction right now. These are businesses I wanna talk to when I put my business hat back on and say, let's get in here and get people to your front door, and we can do that in a way that means something to you. In conjunction with the advertisement, things of that nature, and things we're not doing today. So not only will it become a more dynamic community, there'll be things that are fun and I can get from A to B and what have you. Now let's talk about the townships and folks that aren't participating. I don't want to leave human beings out of this. There's folks that have jobs that are on the fringe of Marshall that are in those townships that I plan on reapproaching. I'm not coming to this with an attitude going, well, you voted no. I mean, I've heard that. That doesn't get me anywhere. That doesn't get those people that need to get to work, church, to get something for their family anywhere. So I want to come back to them with a strategy that says, what do we need to do to get you people included? And what have you. Now, at the end of the day, if you don't want to be included, that's fine. You keep on moving. Mobility is mobility. But that's not the end of it for me. Because if there's one person that says, hey, and it gets even worse if I'm disabled and all of these other things that come along with that. So that's a good starting point for us. There is a strategy built into that. You can see improvements within those strategies. And I'm pretty comfortable with where we started. We kind of started in April with meetings and what have you. And after 4 months of work, I think we're ready to take this thing to a vote in November and be real serious about the improvements and see marked improvement before this region pops. Because once it pops, it's too late to kind of come back and go, let's kind of piecemeal together. I don't afford it all right now. I want all the suppliers to pay $5.2 million. If I cut that up amongst some businesses to get people here or there, that knocks that number down. So I'm pretty comfortable with. And that's not to mention some of the tax changes that may be pending, that we're waiting to see what happens, that kind of they're meeting about tonight, right? So I'm looking forward to how that went tomorrow. So next steps, we're going to continue to build TAC resources. The work of the authority is not done. The strategy is a long-term strategy. It embodies continuous improvement. We want to consider the expanded relationships for mobility. I talked about some of those things. Public outreach and education. We're always going to be telling folks, this is where we're going to go, this is what we can be, and this is what this means. It's not about adding big buses. It's not about adding micro transit or things of that nature. It's about adding the right combination of those things. Okay, there's a science to this. I was not a transportation nerd before I started, but I'm getting real close because I'm like, it makes sense. And there's a business model to it. And because it was attached to our municipalities and some other factors, you can't really, you were handcuffed. And so I know why the municipal people are on the board because, I'm a business person. So I like to take risks and things of that nature where they hold me back in and say, this is how we are going to do things, but the strategy is important. And then continued service and planning and board discussion. I'm always about what's next on the horizon, what better technology can we use? And mobility does not mean just buses, cars, and transportation. It could mean a whole lot of things that don't exist today. So the authority is here to implement those things in a value-added way for this entire region. So November 5th, there's a way to stay connected. We now have our website up. And as a matter of fact, I gotta go home and approve the next iteration where all of our meeting minutes and things of that nature will be out, as well as our schedule. But it's important to know that we meet on the second and fourth Tuesdays at 9 a.m. We'll try to do in a central location, Marshall City Hall and second floor chambers. Everybody's welcome. We'll publish workshops and things of that nature as they happen. But that's kind of who we are and how we got here and what have you in this short period of time. And I'm looking forward to the long run. And coming back to you from 2 years from now and go, man, remember what we had? We didn't have anything. And now we have people moving from A to B and the stories change. That's my goal. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Well, to kind of give a little bit more context, city manager Snyder and myself have been attending county administrator meetings since 2021. We were meeting with consultants, meeting with other mayors, other city managers, township supervisors, and the majority of those meetings were on this topic. So it's not just because I want to make sure that people understand this didn't happen within the past 4 months. This has been years in the making.
Yes.
Years that we've all been discussing how important this service is for the whole county. So we were able to get to a point where then we could then pass off the baton to you all. So we really do appreciate each and every one of you that are currently sitting on this board to make sure it gets to the finish line. Because we kind of did like you were saying, the studies, we interpreted the data. We talked to other mayors, city managers, the supervisors to figure out who wanted to be involved. We also took into consideration, because we don't take this lightly, again, this is another millage. We took into consideration what we're asking our residents to take part in. But we also understand how important this service is for any company, especially Blue Oval, as we knew that was coming in. And the situation that we are in with getting people to their places of employment. And we know specifically for the city of Albion, that's a big issue, because Haley and I took forth scenarios time and time again of our residents having issues, our residents not being able to have an affordable wage to raise their families in because they couldn't get to work. So we wanted to make sure that the city of Albion was at the table. And we appreciate Councilwoman Davis for attending all these meetings, because we knew how important this work is. So again, we are very grateful for what you're doing, because you have a brilliant mind in being able to pull everybody together, but also for the other members. Linda, I know with your background and your experience, you are very crucial to making this work too. I know everybody does with their special expertise, yeah. So, but this is years in the making, and so we're really looking forward to this process eventually.
And Mayor, if I could add, you're right, this is years in the making, and what didn't exist when the study existed or what have you was a strategy that works across all of our communities. It was just data gathering, right? And now we have some starting point.
Yes.
We have people responsible. And we have kind of what you could see could be. Now, the part that I can't stress enough is we want better wages, better education, a better experience for our residents and what have you. That's limited if you aren't participating in a high level in economic development that's happening. And part of that formula is mobility and transportation of human beings. This isn't a nice to have. This is me going, I'm in a unique position to see what's coming that I can talk about. And I know what it takes, these 4 or 5 things: education, housing, transportation, better wages, and green space and places for people to go. Those all have to happen at the same time. If you're missing one of those components, you kind of have this dysfunction that's happening, and you got half the people that are like, I could be in Grand Rapids, or I could be here, or I could be, we have this problem on the west side of Battle Creek. I'm living in Portage and I'm driving in Gallup. So this is that man. We have more land mass than Portage and Kalamazoo available right now. It's because we're missing some of those components. So, thank you.
Appreciate you all being here today.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving. Have a couple of proclamations here. So a couple of weeks ago, the community had an event that is typically done right before the school year happens, and it's considered a block party for the kids in the community. And at this event, we honored Larry Williams for his years of service to the youth in our community. And following is a proclamation that I was able to read for him. Whereas Larry Williams graduated from Albion High School in 1970. While a student athlete at AHS, Larry earned 10 varsity letters in football, basketball, track, and baseball. Larry then completed his bachelor's degree in social work at Western Michigan University in 1987. And whereas Larry Williams' lifelong work has been dedicated to serving and nurturing the children of Albion and the Calhoun County at large. And whereas during his tenure with the Calhoun County Probate Court System, Larry was named Child Care Worker of the Year 3 times, and was also nominated for the State of Michigan Child Care Worker of the Year 3 times. And whereas Larry Williams dedicated several years of his life to the Albion public school system as an advocate and a coach. He held the positions of JV football and basketball coach, assistant varsity football coach, and the first Black head coach in the history of AHS for the boys and girls track team and the boys varsity basketball team. And whereas Larry also served the city of Albion for many years as the assistant director of the recreation department under the mentorship of Tillman Cornelius. During this time, Larry created and implemented a youth mentoring program called Operation HIM, which supported and bolstered the junior high athletic programs. Larry also served as a director of the recreation department for 5 years. And whereas Larry also selflessly volunteered countless hours, coaching, serving as vice president of the Housing Commission, treasurer for the Albion Board of Education, and member of the Marshall Board of Education, along with youth advisory for the Albion branch of the NAACP, plus several other positions. Now therefore be it proclaimed that today, the 3rd of August, 2024, I, Victoria Garcia Snyder, Mayor of Albion, join with the citizens of Albion to honor Larry Williams and express our heartfelt gratitude for your impact on the generations of youth in our community and the greater Calhoun County. So again, this was read for Larry and his family. He had extended family there on that day as well. And of course, it was all about the kids, but took the opportunity to honor Mr. Williams as well. A couple of weeks ago as well, we had a bench dedication downtown Albion for Harry Bonner Sr., as you had mentioned, and his wife, Geraldine Bonner. Whereas the city of Albion acknowledges the sacrifices that Harry and Geraldine Bonner have made for the youth of our community. And whereas they have opened their hearts and homes to those in need and give our youth direction for the future and made a difference in many people's lives. And whereas in 1975, Carrie began working as the director for the Albion Drop-In Center, which is now the Substance Abuse Prevention Services, which also operates the Kids at Hope Youth Development Center at the First United Methodist Church in Albion. And whereas in 2008, Carrie and former Mayor Joe Domingo began the initiative to transform Albion to ensure that the children had a brighter future, and also began the Mayor's Youth Coalition. And whereas in 2019, Michelle Mueller wrote Mr. Bonner, the story of a mentoring journey, in which Mr. Bonner stated that without the support and sacrifices of Geraldine and their sons, Elgin and Harry Jr., he insists he could never have accomplished the work he did. And whereas among many commendations for leadership and service, Mr. Bonner has received the Governor George Romney Lifetime Achievement in Community Service Award and the South Central Michigan Substance Abuse Commission Distinguished Service Award, the Albion High School Distinguished Alumni Award, and an honorary doctorate at Albion College's 2015 commencement on Saturday, May 9th, 2015. And whereas Mr. and Mrs. Bonner shared their talents and passion with the Albion community through their contributions, sacrifices, commitment, and leadership in mentoring youth in reaching their full leadership potential through civic engagement. And whereas it is our distinct pleasure in recognizing Carrie and Geraldine Bonner and to dedicate this bench in their honor. We are honored to have this giving couple in our community and applaud their exceptional accomplishments and ongoing efforts to the Albion community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Victoria Garcia Snyder, Mayor of the City of Albion, do hereby honor Carrie and Geraldine Bonner and designate this bench on August 10th, 2024, and recognize the importance of their dedication and leadership to the Albion community. So this was other things. Public comments. If there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council in regards to an agenda item, you have the opportunity at this time to come forward. Just give us your name and address, and 3 minutes is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Wayne Arnold, 906 Hall Street. First of all, I'd like to commend Harry and Larry on the accomplishment. Larry and I, we grew up together and so I had the pleasure to know Harry as a young guy. He's about 10 years older than me, but I still know him. So congratulations to both of them. Just to address the measure that was just presented to us. I think that's a great idea, but I'm wondering if it's gonna be 2.6 meals, I don't see how us seniors won't be able to afford that. I could see maybe a portion of that 2.66 meals spread out around the county, but I don't see unless I got it wrong, 2.6 meals. I don't know if the seniors around me can really stand that much, but I think it's a terrific idea. And so, yeah, that's all I got to speak on this because I was gonna thank some people, but I'll wait till the second part of the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to stand and address council in regards to an agenda item? Okay, seeing no movement, we will proceed. Do I have a motion to approve of the consent calendar items?
Support.
In that, we have our August 5th study session minutes, the August 5th regular session minutes. And we are approving changing our November meeting dates to accommodate our city clerk the night before the election. So all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Do I have a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2024-05?
So moved. Support.
Attorney Hartness?
So as we discussed during the work session, this is a ordinance model after the city of Kalamazoo that had similar problem that the city of Albion's experienced with nuisance parties, both on public and private property. Basically, it allows, it gives public safety another tool to combat these parties, prohibiting the unlawful sale and furnishing and possession of alcohol, destruction of property, unreasonable loud noise, parking of vehicles, people blocking the street, things like that. So it allows public safety to take enforcement to maximum penalties 90 days up to $500 in fines. And this is your second reading. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Attorney Hartness? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed.
What we're voting on this.
The nuisance part.
Oh, yes. Jackson. Yes. Davis.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
And Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2024-06 for tax exemption for Kennedy Green One?
So moved.
Attorney Hartness?
So this is an ordinance to create a pilot, which is payment in lieu of tax. So instead of paying property taxes, this ordinance sets up a percentage based on the annual shelter rents for this project. So we get that money from them for a period of time to pay for services. Council had previously approved a pilot for this developer last year. That project ended up not coming to fruition. This year though, they've dotted their i's, crossed their t's, and there's actually 2 phases to the project that they're pursuing now, so. There's Kennedy Green 1, which is the ordinance before you, and the next one is Kennedy Green 2. They're both 6% of the shelter rents over 20 years. And the city already has several of these pilot ordinances in place for Lincolnshire and Oakland, sorry, yeah, Oakland, so. For the moment.
Jesus.
Any questions for Attorney Hartnett on this item? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed, yes. Jackson.
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French.
Yes.
And Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve resolution ordinance 2024-07 for tax exemption for Kennedy Green here?
So moved.
Support.
Attorney Hartnett?
So this is the exact same thing that we just talked about, except it's phase 2.
Any questions? Okay. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Mayor and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2024-35 to approve the MDOT state trunk line maintenance contract?
Support.
Attorney Hartnett or Deputy Kern?
Yeah, good thing I came tonight. So this, the city already has a maintenance contract with the Department of Transportation for this exact same thing. The current contract expires in October. So this is a renewal for an additional 5 years. Basically, it's just a contract for the city to maintain state trunk lines like M99. We do removal of dead trees, shrubs, some snow removal, things like that. MDOT reimburses the city for the work that we do, so this, the payment is based on MDOT's schedule. And this is, like I said, just a renewal of the contract for another 5 years.
Any questions for Attorney Hartnett on this? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
French.
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve of the cost for the repairs to the Rigger Park lift station maintenance?
Support.
Director Garrett, Deputy Kern?
Good afternoon, everyone. As Deputy Kern stated last council meeting, that our guys are located in manhole, in the area of Rager Park lift station along Linden Ave that are not watertight. The manholes allows water to come into the sanitary sewer lines and go directly into the lift station, then it flows right into the water treatment plant. Also, it's all kinds of money. This allows for the water to come in and overwhelm our system. Once these manholes are coated with this orange spray liner, I think that he walked over with you guys at the last one, they should be pretty watertight. And it says for at least 50 years under the manufacturer warranty that should be covered. Keep in mind, that's probably like 1 million gallons of water per day. Wasn't due to the conditions of the manholes in the area. So, I know you've got something to say. Go ahead, fire away.
This is just kind of wrapping up the repairs that we had to the Reaver Park lift station. This is the last of it. Our guys have identified all the manholes that they want to get filled and take care of this problem once and for all for us. Also, on that same note, I came to council, it was supposed to be about 12 weeks out to where they thought they had the pumps installed. And that lift station completed. It's actually looking like the parts are coming in faster than anticipated. We should have that up and running or completed within the next 4 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks, we'll just say, keep our fingers crossed. So a lot sooner than we anticipated, which is great. So we'll be all set for fall.
So you can see on here, the cost is about 27,300 for the repairs, but we strongly encourage the approval of this when it's only going to continue to cost us money in the long run.
Any questions for either Deputy Chief Kern or Director Garrett? Thank you, gentlemen. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve of the engineering service contract for the Albion Street improvements?
So moved.
Support.
So this is a proposal for engineering services for the North Albion, or Albion project between Erie and railroad tracks. This is based off the grant money that's expected plan for the repairs we made will probably be spring of 2026.
Any questions for city manager? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember French.
Yeah.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve of the engineering services for the Dean Drive improvements?
So moved.
Support.
This is part of that same grant funding that we received, and again, this is for the engineering services, to get that project started. The implementation on this as well is to be done in spring of 2026.
Any questions? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the domestic shell third party agreement?
Support.
Attorney Mathis?
So as council is aware, with the Mishta Chill grant, we did a request for proposals for a third party administrator to administer the grant. The successful bidder selected by the city was the Albion EDC. Mishta requires a written third party administrator agreement, so we had some back and forth with their attorney, and the agreement before you is the language that everyone was agreed to. The term of the agreement goes through the end of January of 2026, and it's the $50,000 that were in the EDC's bid. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Attorney Harris? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yeah.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the repairs to our front end loader?
So
Support.
Director Harris?
Okay, originally we had repairs, a repair estimate to have the front end loader fixed was about $11,000 and some change. When they got into it and started tearing it apart, it ended up being a little bit more, so now the total is about $22,000. So we wanted to come before you to get the approval to go ahead and get that fixed, to replace that machine, and even though it's a 2008, it's still in really good shape. The repair mechanics said they actually don't make them as good as they used to, like this one. And so to replace it, you're looking at a couple $100,000 just to replace the one that we currently have. It is definitely worth putting the money back into it. And so once we get this back up and running, it should take care of things for a long time. Should. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. I know. It's like every time we turn around, it's something, I know. This, I think, now that we're getting on a good preventative maintenance schedule for a lot of things that was really lacking before. We'll hopefully be out of the woods. Fingers crossed.
And we've been told that Director Clark has signed off and given the green light.
Yes.
Majority of the funding is a lot of the solid waste fund. To the funding session at this point.
Salad, et cetera. All right, do we have any questions for either one of our gentlemen?
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Reed, yes, and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Future agenda items, anything that folks would like to see in the agenda? The meeting?
It was brought up about the new water tower and the logo on that. And so that has to come out at some point, where we want to go with that, so.
So, when we were in our sessions, and, different makers and the individuals, the kids wanted to be a part of it. So, when did they all have that activity? So I'm talking about,
Probably by that,
like, trying to give some of the other.
yeah. And if we want to do something festival possibly.
That'd be great, give them some of the other organizations and put them together and let them all decide together, so it's, you know, different. There's other programs too, just put them all together, maybe around that time, which would be good.
So we put something together, have it maybe ready for video, probably.
We good,
Yeah,
I really have, that's all I can say,
Yeah.
because they got my children down here,
so you're feeding that out there.
yeah. Yeah.
Just want to make sure we stuff.
Wow. Sorry, I said that. No, I'm not.
No, you're.
It would be, because it would be nice to have our children around, Albion, come together and do such. Something nice. All right,
Any other agenda items?
we'll do our things.
Oh, comment? If there's anything else?
Yeah, I would just have to wait for it. Wayne Arnold, 906 Hall Street. While the blood is still warm in my veins, I want to commend the director and Officer Curry on a well done job. I was trying to get that sidewalk and that curb done for 20 years. I've been on Hall Street 23 years, and I met with the director last year, and I'm telling you, the next day he was out there. So, you know, you people that say we can't get nothing done at city council, you need to come to city council, and we'll move you with your line. But yeah, I like to just thank the director for what he's done on Hall Street and the rest of the police. So appreciate you.
We'll keep them around.
Pat Oldham with Florida Cooper Companies, just wanted to thank you all again for approving the pilot for Kenny Green 1 and Kenny Green 2. Just as a quick reminder, we will be submitting our application to MISTA for low-income housing tax credits on October 1st. And we expect to hear back from MISTA in January of next year. So fingers crossed. Thank you.
Anybody else have to say their address down? Seeing no movement, unanimous report?
For that report, just want to remind everybody that this coming weekend and Saturday is Walk the Beat here in Albion. All right. Another event for the weekend.
Things are getting better. Councilmember comments?
I just want to say thank you to the tag team for supporting Albion and coming to share in our meeting. And I know it was a little long, but
Nothing
sure, but you know, as a group, we get along very well and we support each other. So this is just a clear example of how well and how much we want this to happen, this mission.
I would like to commend the NAACP for putting together another wonderful event for children who attend Carrington. And actually I saw some older kids come through and grab some supplies, which was great to see. It was a beautiful evening. It's great to see the families and the children get excited about going back to school. There was a lot of resources available there for the families to utilize and get information on. So again, I just want to thank the NAACP for spearheading the initiative to create this type of event to make sure that the kids are equipped to come back for a successful academic year.
Yes, and I would like to say thank you to Marshall Public Schools as well, because they're coming into well-lit, carpeted, new furniture classroom, which is a motivator, and they can't wait to get back to mom.
Councilwoman Reed, do you want to Have a comment?
I just wanted to say to another thank you, like you, and to the two in the back, I'm here because of things at Holland Park, they went out along the river and cleaned out a lot of that stuff that was out there and make it look better. So I think when they get ready to do the this on this side and on the other side, this next spring, it's gonna really look nice to where people can go down there and sit and relax and enjoy the blue heron that's right out there next.
So thank you for the reminder. Each council member, you know, if you have any special projects that you wanted to have done in your precincts, the group that was here from the college is still looking for projects. I know they met with Director Garrett, to talk about some things, and I don't know if they requested, you know, materials as well, but we definitely want to make sure if any projects in the precincts require any type of tools or things like that, that we give the city plenty notice so that they can have them available for that date.
Can we get that date out?
So that is the first weekend in September, so we had it.
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
We have to meet again, I think that's gonna be, it is the first weekend in September, but I know we're gonna meet again before then, because, we were still juggling a few things and they weren't exactly sure, what projects they wanted to do, so I think we're still, I think next week. We should know,
Yeah, September 7th
so,
is in the morning, like 9 to
9 to 11.
Yeah, something like that. So, please make sure that those projects are brought forward so that we can plan accordingly. And if you have any organizations that would like to help, you know, get them connected, with the Center for the Environment at the college so that they can get them on board as well. Any other comments? So back to school, just to remind everybody, if you gotta get to work in the morning at a specific time, give yourself extra time because the buses will be back on the road. Please do not pass the buses when you see the flashing red lights. It always makes me very sick to my stomach when I see motorists go around because they don't see movement. Please don't, just give yourself that extra time, know that the kids are excited and may not be paying attention. So just be extra careful of it.
Remember some starting today. Tomorrow, EMGs is going back,
All right, do I have a motion to excuse Councilman Williams?
So you
Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Laura, will you text? I didn't get a message, did you?
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So.
Support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned, 8:05 p.m.